Yeah. But can he do it? That was Max Kellerman saying that he is the MVP, referring to LeBron every single year. Joined now by our NBA insider, Tom Haberstroh. Let's talk about LeBron and the Cavs because it's no surprise they are struggling. They face Boston tonight. Both teams tied for first in the Eastern Conference. Why should the Cavs still be concerned as they head into the playoffs?
I mean, they haven't played any defense in the last couple months. I mean, looking at the entire season, they ranked 22nd in defensive efficiency, Carey. And that would be the worst defensive efficiency. Basically, they don't stop anybody in the league for any champion in the modern era. Look, we can look at, obviously, the LA Lakers in 2001. You remember that team.
Yes.
Shaq turned it on. Basically, they coasted the entire regular season. But the thing was, Shaq was 28 years old when he did that.
Okay.
You know, he had a young Kobe Bryant then. The LeBron James that we have today, I don't know if he can just flip that switch with 6 straight NBA Finals on his odometer.
Sure.
Because I just don't see it defensively where they have Mozgov or Dellavedova on this team. Defensively, I think they're in trouble.
I like the way you said that, on his odometer, because his body would be what, if you had to guesstimate? I know he came straight out of high school. He's been to 6 straight finals, going for a 7th. His body probably is like that of someone in their late 30s.
Well, put it this way. He's already played more minutes in his NBA career than Steve Nash, who played till he was 40.
So
he's played more minutes in his NBA career than Allen Iverson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, you name it. Basically every Hall of Famer that we know in the last 25 years, LeBron James already played that many minutes.
And they've retired far later than where he is right now in terms of his age. So
Andre Miller played till he was 50 years old, and he had fewer minutes than LeBron James in the NBA.
That's insane, just considering that. So, but let's focus on the Cavs. What stands out about their struggles?
Well, when you look at the top 3 guys, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, and LeBron James, since the All-Star break, when they're on the floor, opponents are scoring 125 points per 100 possessions. The worst team in the NBA is playing at 100 or giving up 112. They are 13 points worse than that.
Wow.
So we're not just talking about the bench not being able to play defense. We're talking about the core 3, and the only team that has a trio worse defensively than the Cavs' big 3 is your Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay.
They're youngsters. The only team defensively is worse as the Cavs are those Lakers teams that are not trying to win games.
Tom, I've noticed there's a theme here. Every time we go on the show, you remind me about how awful teams are, and then the comparison would always be of that to the Lakers. When you're saying a team is awful, you're like just as bad.
I just want to hit the right.
You want me to understand where we're going
the soft spot here. when you'll pay attention now, you'll see how ridiculous the Cavs defense is when I make a reference to you.
Meanwhile, the Cavs, specifically LeBron James, have been at the center of the NBA rest discussion. We all know about that. He specifically has an article out on ESPN.com right now. They can check it out. And so the article, in short, is you are basically saying the NBA should not play an 82-game season. Why is that?
They already aren't playing an 82-game season. I mean, you look at LeBron James resting 6 times this season. You look at the league-wide trend is to play as many games as you can, as long as those aren't back-to-backs. We need to have an NBA where people are incentivized to play on these back-to-backs. LeBron James tonight is playing in Boston on a back-to-back and just said that I'm the last person to talk about the importance of regular season game. We are talking about these games.
What's the incentive?
The incentive is to play basketball healthily without risking injury. And back-to-backs have 3.5 times more in-game injuries than those at home. Those road back-to-backs where you travel overnight, those are injury risks waiting to happen. So I think LeBron James has recognized that, like Popovich did with Tim Duncan.
Sure.
And you're looking at 11% of all NBA players in the past decade. Only 11% have played 82 games.
Okay, so
1 out of 10 guys.
I know, but okay, help me understand, historically speaking, why is this now a discussion? Were there not as many back-to-backs back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s?
It's just the science. The medical information that's coming into all these teams is that it's not healthy to do this. Look, we don't want another Grant Hill. We don't want another Penny Hardaway. We don't want another Brandon Roy. We want guys to be healthy for the entire length of their careers, and these back-to-backs are basically injuries waiting to happen, much more so than when you have rest coming into it.
Okay, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. What I'm saying is that I don't understand, and I don't want to sound like the person who doesn't understand the game, but why wasn't Magic and James and Larry Bird and Patrick...
Well, Larry Bird retired at a very young age because of back issues.
But they weren't saying we want a shorter season.
Because they didn't know. They didn't know the science, the medical information that's coming in when you study what happens to bodies, athletes' bodies, when they don't get rest and they travel overnight on planes without sleeping a full night of rest. Sleep is the biggest PED in sports.
Right.
I mean, that is how you get your body to recover, and these guys are in planes overnight. So it's not smart for the bodies to do this, and I think these guys are understanding that when 20 years ago, that data wasn't there.
Okay, so then we get more and more science. Does that mean we have a shorter season when the science expands and gets more progressive and we understand understand how the body actually works and what it needs.
Adam
I'm
Silver,
saying, when do we
yeah.
stop saying, this is as many games as we need?
Well, it's a great question because tomorrow Adam Silver is meeting with the Board of Governors, basically the owners of the NBA, to discuss this very issue. And he understands, he said in the All-Star break, that there is a direct correlation between injuries and fatigue.
Okay.
The league commissioner knows that there is this connection here, and they've tried to get rid of back-to-backs, but unless they cut down the number of games, you can't get rid of back-to-backs. It's 82 games in 170 days. How are you going to get rid of back-to-backs when you're playing that many games in that few days? So I think the only thing you can do to safely take care of the player health of these stars and make sure they don't get injured is to reduce the number of games in the NBA season. Tomorrow, I hope that's on the table.
Okay, so your suggestion would be?
58 games. 2 games a week, no back-to-backs, and you play once at home against every team and once away.
58.
And everyone would play those games. Instead of watching these guys take off games, why don't we incentivize them to play and make sure they're not playing the night before?
58 games. 52. Sorry, you said 52 or
58?
58, okay. Yeah, 50.
It's not going to happen. I'm just saying that would be ideal for me. So you play twice a week, every week, you know which games you're playing.
All right, well, there you go. There's the answer. If you're listening, Commissioner Silver, he gave it to you. Jay